Hi everyone. Today we're going to do a project kind of a lot like we did the other day in class. We're going to go find a character online that we like, a cartoon. It works best for the project we're going to be doing, especially today. And we're going to be using our pen tool skills and clipping masking, and we're going to take that image and we're going to prepare it to be used on a laser cutter. So first things first, let's pull up the internet and let's grab ourselves an image. I'm going to grab Mordecai from regular show today. Let's find a good Mordecai picture. I like this one. Great. So we find our image here, Google image search. We're going to right click on the image, say open in new tab, check it out in the new tab there. Boom, there it is. Looking good. Right click, save as. And I'm just going to save it to my desktop. So there we go. We can close that. So now we have our image. All right, let's set up our board here. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go over here to create new. Click on this. And then we get a prompt here. We're going to change points back to inches, especially for what we're going to be doing today. And we're going to go 4 inches width and 4 inches of height. We're going to change our color mode down here from CMYK to RGB because our laser cutter only works on RGB. What does that say there? Yep, and that's just fine. We're going to go back over here to print. Oh, that makes us redo our settings. There we go. So let's do our settings one more time. 4 inches, 4 inches, CMYK, RGB, and the rest of it looks good. So again, print, change points to inches, width to 4, height of 4, RGB color mode, let's go. So there's our space. We're going to go place our image now. So we go up here to File, down to Place. Let's go find our image. There it is. We're going to Place, click on it, and there it is. So remember, do not warp your image. When you have to resize it, and it looks like we're going to have to resize this one, click up here on this point right here, hold down Shift and Alt, and that's going to resize it, but keep the scale. If you don't want to hold down those both, you can just hold Shift, and that works just as well. So we're going to need to get him down to be able to fit in this space here. Centered him. Now let's open him up just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, if you don't have your layers panel down here, what you're going to do is you're going to go back up to Window. This amazing list here for you. We've already got layers, so layers is right over here. We're going to create ourselves a brand new layer, and we're going to lock the layer that Mordecai is currently on. Okay, now it's time to use the pen tool. Back up here to our toolbar, here's our pen tool. Now, a lot of people that I noticed were trying to not make curves, where they would just do points like this. That might work a little bit, but when it goes through the laser cutter, all that's going to be noticeable, and it's not going to leave a very good finish. So don't do that. What I'd like you to do is practice on actually making the curves. Remember, we made our original point. Farther down the line, we're going to click and hold and move our mouse until we make a nice satisfying line right there. And we're going to keep doing that. Click on the point each time or hit Alt. I'm in the practice of just clicking on it. So let's just click on it. Okay, so once again, we're getting that white inside. How do we get rid of that? We go over here to our color picker. We see we're on fill. Go and click on the little none, the transparency symbol, and there we go. But in case you're worried about losing your line somehow, you can go over to stroke, and we'll change it to yellow, because that'll show up against Mordecai. And there we go. Now we're just going to keep tracing around. So there we go. I've done the outline of Rigby, or I'm sorry, wow, I've done the outline of Mordecai. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over this yellow line here, and I'm going to change this right down here, double click on the stroke, go up to red, get it close in the corner there, and if we look down at our hexadecimal color code there, we're going to change that D to a 0. So that is our proper red we need to cut with, but the size of the stroke isn't right yet. So we go up here to stroke, or alternatively, you might find it over here somewhere. There's another stroke menu, but we're going to go up here because I think this one's mostly out here when you set your workspace to painting, to printing and proofing. And there it is, still up there. Okay, so we're going to change it to 0.001. That is the stroke width to work the laser cutter. So there it is, 0.001. Hit enter. There we go. We can barely see our line. It just completely disappeared. Okay, so now we got Mordecai completely outlined. The next thing we're going to need to do is do his outline. So we did the outline already, but we're going to do all the stuff on the inside. And this is going to be the precursor to our engrave line. So remember, with laser cutters, you have cut and engrave. And you only have one color. Obviously, you can't engrave in other colors. So we have to break everything down in here to black and white and just leave what we know works to make it look like Mordecai. So let's get to it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a brand new layer. I'm going to lock the other two layers like that, and I'm going to move layer 2 down below layer 3. So now it's going to go 3, 2, 1. So I can make this black. I can make this black as well. I can leave a little white line in between it so it delineates. But the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go over all of the black line inside of Mordecai. So I'm actually going to leave my line stroke color as red right now so I can differentiate it from the black line that's already there. So let's start on his head up here. I'm going to go through, I'm just going to start right at the crown of his head and work my way down. So I'm actually going to go over and change the color here in a second. When I get to the end, it's kind of hard to go both ways when you can really only go one. So we're going to do Control-Shift-A, and that allows us to unselect. Let's go change our stroke color here real quickly. I'm going to change this to yellow. That'll show up pretty good. And I'm going to change the width of it to 0.25. Nope. Change the width of it to 0.0078. All right, there we go. I forget we're scaled in on a kind of a small scale deal here. All right, so let's go to the other side of his head. Gonna make this line once again kind of in the middle of that black line so it stays on the inside of our cut line. Control-Shift-A again. I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna do his eyebrow. Sometimes it wants to drag you to a point and you just have to get a little closer and make it do what you want. And here's another little thing for you. So his eyebrow actually ends and it looks like it's rounded, but this is squared off. So let's do this. We go to Window, go over to Stroke. We get a little stroke menu over here. So once we click on this, we can go to the cap selection here and go for a rounded cap. Rounded, boom, it rounds the end. And the laser cutter is going to show that. It's going to look really great at the end. So let's keep going here on the eyeball. think I left that point kind of out right there. Yes, I did. Go back to our direct selection tool. Click on this. Just drag it up a little bit so it's on top of that line. Okay, let's get his little chest piece here in the middle. Click here, and I'm going to do something different on this line too. You'll notice his chest piece ends at a point, right, on both ends. So what we're going to do is, with this selected, our line here, we're going to go up to this little bar here where it says uniform. I'm going to click down here with profile 1. And what that does is it makes our ends pointed right there. So it looks like his little chest patch. All right. So there we go. We got his straight up yellow outline. So let's do this. I'm going to group this once more. How we group, I make my bounding box click above your artwork, not in connection with it. Drag a box all the way around it. You see it's in green, just like the layer that it's in. Great. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to Object, and we're going to group. So the reason we're doing group is because all these lines are, there's some that are separate, right? So if we group them, we can change the colors all at once. So let's make life easy for ourselves. Instead of leaving them yellow, let's go over here, back to our stroke panel. We're going to double click on this, and we're going to change this to our blackest black we can. This is the black that the laser cutter recognizes as engraved. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's do that one more time. There we go. We don't need to have it be 0.001 like the red line because it's engraved. It could be any width it wants to be. And you're going to see that in action here in a second. So we've got our outline, we've got our cut line, all that. We're going to lock that layer. We're going to make another layer, and we're going to start doing all his little decorative bits here. So here's how I'm going to attack it. I'm going to make a line. So all of this is basically going to be engraved except for his bands. I'm going to leave those untouched. Now the reason why I'm doing that is if I leave them untouched, those will be raised and not affected by the laser at all. So they're going to actually look the best. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to outline his body, leaving only his belly white. I'm going to come up here. Remember, these are locked now, so we don't have to worry too much about it. You can just go right over those lines. And then when we get to this part in the arm, we're going to stop. I'm going to go across. Make almost like a sleeve there. Come back up. Work that one. I go back down all the way. I don't think I can get it. Oh, yes. Look at that. That looks perfect. Okay. So there's a sleeve. So watch this. We can fill in that now to make sure that we're all connected. Again, let's go to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. What did I do? Made it white. There we go. Now it's black. So again, I know Mordecai is blue, but because of our limits with the laser cutter, we have to make whatever colors we want, either black or white. Later on, we can do cross-hatching and I'm actually going to skip it for now. I'm going to skip it. Going to come back. So here's the tricky part. We got two colors here. We have to choose one to be black and one to not be, or be somehow different than the other ones. So our blue coloring is already black, so we're kind of stuck with making sure this one is too. But we also have the details of the eyebrows and all that stuff. So here's where the tricky part comes in, where you have to put a little thought into it. We want to leave a little bit of space right here, because what that does, that gives the illusion of a line. So instead of putting it right up against it, we're going to go a little bit away from it. Oh, that's not going to work with the inside filled in, just like that. And I might actually collapse down my line just a little bit here on stroke. So I'll go back up to window, down to stroke, and see if I can go any smaller than that. Oops, wrong way. So back down to 0.78. That shows me I have that space in there, so I want to make sure I keep that. There we go, there we go. Keep that little bit of space, because that's going to create the line. Oh, that's a little close. Go to our selection tool. Pull that back just a smidge. Change the position of that. There we go. And we're going to go around the eyebrow. Or I should say Mordecai's unibrow. So that's going to keep my line in there. I think that's going to look good. And then when we get to the edge, we can just go right back over our black line like we did before. Oh, I can't see it, so I'm just going to guess it works. And yeah, that'll do. Very nice. Here, back up. Almost done with this section already. Look how quick that was. Oop, I went a little far down on this one. That's why you got to keep thinking. Gonna go down here, stop there. I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna make sure I leave a little bit of that line again. Okay, so let's take a look. Gonna fill it in. Ta-da! Okay, cool. So since we left that little line in there, and that line's not gonna get cut by anything in the laser cutter, that's gonna show up as a line. That's gonna come out looking pretty good. Let's do the same thing down here. So what we can do is we can come from our line, come on in, do this separate coloring here on the nape of his head. We can come all the way over here, and that line's going to differentiate our blocks of color there. Last one, make it a good one. Okay. All right, let's zoom in on the tail, because we're going to have to do a little bit of detail work on this tail to make it look good. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a blob of something, because we have a black space here, we have a black space here, and then black lines on either side. But we're going to need to make it the same color as this here, otherwise it's going to look really incongruent and weird. So the way we do that, I think for this one I'm going to turn these a different color just for now. Actually, you know what? I could just turn the stroke a different color, just for now so I can see what I'm working with here. So let's start working on the inside of these tails. I'm going to leave a decorative line of color on either side. That little line of color is going to stay. I think that'll do. We can come over and fix that quickly later. I'll show you a trick for that. So because this is probably going to line together, you know what? Let's do it right. This one I'm not going to worry too much about. I'm leaving his little bands of color. I'm actually going to finish this one all the way in here. This one as well. I'm going to leave those white bands. Those are going to show up nicely, and they'll differentiate his tail color from anything else. Last little bit right here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Change this one back. Make the line black on the outside. Not the right one. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, there we go. So here's what we're going to do. Here's a cool tool here. It's called the eyedropper tool. So what that does is it selects color for you. So if you say you clicked on white, that would turn white. But if you went here and you clicked on the one that's black with the correct color black that we need, plus the correct color black outline we need, we can come and now, why didn't that work? Wait a minute. I messed that one up. Let's try again. Click here, come over. Oh, my mistake. Select all these first. Okay, that's what happens if you don't have these all selected. I must be getting a little sleepy. Click on these here, select them all. So the way I did that, I'll show you one more time. Clicked on one, and now I'm holding down Shift as I'm clicking on all the other pieces here. Okay, so once those are all selected, now go to my eyedropper tool and click on the space. And there you go. Might as well change this one back while we're at it. Select it, click on the tool. Okay, there are some little lines in there. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but we're just going to have to give it a go. So let's do this. Let's go to original layer, take off the visibility. So that's probably what we're going to be left with, right? That's a pretty close approximation of what we're going to be seeing here. We can go back over, check our lines, make sure everything's right, and it's not. You see we have these little edges out here, and it looks like the cut line's kind of messed up there, and we got some edges over here, and there's a piece by his behind. So that's not going to work. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back over with the direct selection tool. I'm going to move everything together so at least it's going to be one big shape. If I really wanted to, I could click on these three shapes here. And let's see if I can use the shape builder tool to help me out a little bit. Okay. So that's all just one big blob of black now. I think we should just leave that. If we really want to, we could put a white line in, but it's going to be really small, so it's going to be hard kind of making that one work. We can always go back, undo the shape tool if you want. But I think we're pretty close. Oh yeah, that's right, I need to change these. So let's fix these. We don't want that. That doesn't look good. So what we could do in this scenario, instead of changing everything around, is we could just make, see that? We just made the stroke transparent. So let's make the stroke transparent. I think that's going to work even better. In fact, let's make the stroke transparent in all of these. Nope. Sometimes you just got to leave it. Okay, I think that'll do for the sake of what we're what we're working on here. I'm gonna pull these back here. Just blob it on into them. I'm gonna leave those those two little dots there, so it kind of looks like something's happening back there. You know what? I'm kind of happy with it. I like the style of how it looks. Something weird going on here, though. Yes, that's weird. Let's go back to our pen tool, click and hold, go to anchor point tool, click on this anchor, hit delete. It's looking a little bit better. We do have a little bit of a mess down there, but again, because it's so small, I'm not too worried about it. That's interesting. Move that one up again. Let's connect these 2 points here that are seemingly free floating. There we go. Put a little orientation in their lives. Move this one over a little bit. Let's cover up some of our major sins here. Okay. Some of these little points, if they don't look good to you, you can always come in, you can flatten them a little bit. If you want, go unlock anything you want to be able to work with. Flatten those points too. Make your round points make a little more sense. There we go. Just bring this out a little bit. Bring this one in a little bit. Because it's all going to be engraved black, I'm not too worried about it. Same thing here. I'm going to move that in. Make that look just a little bit nicer. Then I'm going to lock that back up real quickly. And I'm thinking, oh, unlock. Come back here. Fix this piece. There we go. Even though it's a small detail, that is going to look a little better. Oh, yep, and I got to fix his crazy eyes. He does look crazy. That is in layer 3. Come in here with the selection tool, click on that. Oh, let's do this, because I don't want to have everything connect together again. I'm going to ungroup this one. You can either go Object, Ungroup, or right-click, Ungroup. Do that, and then I can select his eyes by themselves. I'm going to change their inside color to black, and there you go. Now he looks a little more like the Rigby we know, or the Rigby, the Mordecai we know. So let's click the bounding box one more time. Let's get 3 all locked together again, and there we go, gang. He's ready to go to laser cutter. To finally send him, to prepare him for laser cutter, to send him to me today, we're going to just save it as a normal AI file. So you go File, Save As, and then we'll call him Mord for Lays. And there we go. We're going to save him to my desktop. In this case, you might save it to your OneDrive file. That's what I'd suggest. Or your Google Drive. There you go. And there it is. Mordecai is ready for the laser cutter.